Dear students, it's time to discuss brokerage accounts, brokerage firms, account types, and annuities. And we start with a joke that I don't think is actually attributed to Rodney Dangerfield, but it is certainly a Rodney Dangerfield joke. I tell you, this stock market is bad. It's even worse than a divorce. You lose 50% of your net worth, but you still keep your spouse. Hey, have you ever wondered why they call us brokers? Slide number 2. There are 3 types of brokerage firms, but not so much anymore. There was the traditional full-service broker, Merrill Lynch or Merrill Lynch or Morgan Stanley. I think Merrill Lynch is now called Merrill Edge. It's owned by Bank of America. They provide investment recommendations. You get a personal broker, but more and more they want you to pony up. It used to be they wanted you to have at least 50,000, 100,000. Now they're saying if we don't have 500,000 or a million, we're not even interested in you. Okay, fine. And then there was the discount brokerage firm, sometimes called the mom and pop shops, and some of them are still around. Edward Jones, A.G. Edwards, LPL Financial. But the industry, the discount broker space, as it's called, or that part of the industry, is basically run by Charles Schwab, which is a very good company, don't get me wrong, but they seem to have cornered the market on discount companies. And then there are the deep discount brokers, the E-Trades of the world, Scottrade, which is now owned by Schwab, and TD Waterhouse, which became TD Ameritrade when it merged with Ameritrade, and that's now owned by Schwab. And so Schwab really is more and more a deep discount brokers that emphasizes technology to reduce brokerage costs. But still, you can ask for a private, personal, not necessarily private, but personal advisor. You're going to spend more, of course. What can you expect to pay for each? What kind of services can you expect from each? Well, it depends, right? Commissions then and now. Virtually all brokerage firms made their money from commissions traditionally, but that's not true anymore. Full service brokers would charge $70 to $100 per trade. Discount brokerage firms, which started in the 1970s, started at $45, then $29, $19, $13, and $9 a trade. Discount brokers would be $5 to $7. Scottrade for many years was $7. And now mutual fund companies are getting into the act and will offer you free commissions on their own funds. Well, what happened? About 20 some odd years ago, a couple of companies experimented with $0 commissions. One failed, and then the other one started charging $5 a trade. But Robinhood got it right. They were able to get people to believe that they were doing commission-free trades, which they were. But as we've learned, right, how can a brokerage firm make any money with a $5 or even a $0 commission? Well, you get people to believe that it's free when it's really not, and you make it like a video game, and the young folks love it until they didn't love it when they couldn't execute their trades on their meme stocks as quickly as Robinhood would. I mean, as they would like to. Robinhood couldn't handle the explosion of business. So here you go, folks. This should look familiar. This is from slide number 3. Remember? The following disclaimer is placed on each trade confirmation from Scottrade, which is no longer, it's part of Schwab now, but at least they, would put it on each email trade confirmation you got. Scottrade Incorporated receives remuneration for directing orders to particular broker-dealers or market centers for execution. Such remuneration is considered compensation to the firm, and the source and amount of any compensation received by the firm in connection with your transaction will be disclosed upon request. What are they saying? Well, if you haven't figured it out by now, they are getting a kickback from that innocently named order flow, payment for order flow. They're sending the trades to a special dealer, special market center, and the two big ones being Citadel and Virtu, right? Citadel, is it Citadel? No, yeah, that's the name of it. And they turn around and kick back some of that markup or markdown that they have tacked onto your order. There are now alternative methods of paying for your broker. As the competition for your business has gotten fiercer, the methods of charging investors for investment services have gotten more creative. Merrill Lynch, for a while, experimented with just charging their customers $3,000 a year for unlimited trades. They don't have that anymore. There are many other methods, but the modern day go way to soak customers. Charge for a brokerage services is called assets under management. Assets under management, also called a wealth management account or a wrap account or investment advisor account. Look, instead of charging per transaction, the brokerage firm tacks on a nearly 1 or 2% assets under management or wealth management fee. I've seen it for less. I've seen it like 0.87 or something. I thought that was really interesting. And then there are companies that do it for even less, but they're robo advisors. You don't get a personal advisor. It's a service that is trying to undercut the brokers, but of course it's not personal. Do you remember the mutual fund F shares, the FI shares, the I shares? And you remember how much more it cost you over time if you went with these people? These types of programs are being pushed by all the major full-service brokerage firms. And there are many flavors of this program. But the latest wrinkle to this method is the new performance-based wealth management. Performance-based wealth management. Only pay your advisor when you make money. The advisor receives 10 to 20% of your earnings when you make money, but the advisor receives nothing when you lose money or don't make anything. It's a variation of the way hedge funds charge their shareholders. It's marketed to high net worth individuals, and there is a bit of a siren song here. You want to make money, right? That's why you're going with the broker. And so when you make money, they make money, and it sounds as though your interests are aligned. Although it sounds tempting, the reality is that you have the potential to pay far, far more for your investment services using this method. Now, the first time I saw this was with a group here in San Diego. Actually, I think they're up in Del Mar, called Dunham and Associates. And they were given a big presentation. And I thought, well, that's going to be fine until there's a bear market. And you guys aren't going to make any money because the system as it's set up is not going to be paying you while the people are not making any money or losing money. And sure enough, they've changed it, right? They've altered their fee structure. So now they charge much less when your account does not gain instead of charging nothing. But as we've said, folks, these systems, I think I told you a little story about when we were discussing this many years ago before now it's become the de rigueur way to charge clients. And I said, I don't really think this is in the best interest of the clients. If they're buy and hold investors, which, I want from my clients, I don't want people who are buying and selling because that's the loser's game, as Charlie Ellis coined back in the 1970s. I think it's better that they just pay the commission up front and then be done with it, right? Well, then this one guy, beautiful teeth and hair, $1,000 suit or more, just looks at me and goes, what are you worried about? You send them a bottle of wine on their birthday, take them golfing to the steakhouse, they'll love you. And I just didn't know what to say. I wasn't going to say, but that's not what we're talking. I just shut up my mouth and said, okay, you're not amongst friends here. I certainly wouldn't want that person as my broker, and I certainly wouldn't want to do that to my clients. But hey, send them a bottle of wine on your birthday, they'll love you. What about an anti-brokerage firm? What about just going with the individual companies that you like, that you're interested in, especially if they're large companies, been around for a while, because they all have these dividend reinvestment plans now, the bigger companies. No, they don't run it. Somebody runs it for them. Remember the DRIPs? I love that name. Direct, low-cost investment plans, bypassing the middleman. Many of the large, well-established companies offer their own DRIPs. And as we saw back in Chapter 3, they're very cheap if they charge you anything. For San Diego Gas and Electric, we would be charged 6 cents or 9 cents every so often. And there are many other DRIP plans available. Most all brokerage firms now will allow you to set up dividend reinvestment plans. They are low cost, yes, but again, nothing's perfect. How would you like to sift through 18 different statements? Some companies will charge you a monthly fee to allow you to keep all your DRIPs in one place. And as we said, now it's de rigueur that if you have a brokerage firm and you say, I want a dividend reinvestment plan with Johnson & Johnson, sure, they will reinvest your dividends, cash dividends, into purchases of stock, and make sure you find out how much it costs, because it costs them something to do this. And as I said, there was a very, very small amount of money that they would charge us, and so make sure that they're not soaking you for that, because these this one guy, I don't want to beat him up too much, but it's Ken Fisher Investments, and they charge 1.25%. And I like his advertisements because he's got this gravelly voice. I hate annuities, and you should do it. But he doesn't want to talk to anybody unless you have at least $500,000 to invest. That's a lot of money. 1.25% is what? $6,250 on $500,000 every year? And as it goes up, it becomes more? Oh, well, that's what people are paying. Okay. Now for something different here. Let's talk about taxable accounts, regular accounts, non-qualified accounts. That's what the IRS calls them. Versus tax-qualified or retirement accounts, educational savings accounts, health savings accounts. Well, we'll just key on retirement accounts because the others are similar. In a regular taxable account, you can pretty much put anything into it. Stocks, bonds, mutual funds, options, cash, short-term investments, futures, shorting, options, margining, even real estate. There's no limit on your contributions. You have $1 million, you put it in the taxable account. There's no limit on the investment types. You want to do really exotic, dangerous things like cryptocurrencies, you go right ahead and lose your money. And you're going to pay taxes every year on any capital gains, interest, dividends. Yeah, that's what people normally think of. You go down to the bank, you open up a checking account, it's invariably, unless you say otherwise, going to be in a taxable account. Now, if you want a tax qualified, and that's what the IRS calls them, tax qualified accounts, there are many. Most of them are retirement accounts, and those are the ones we're going to spend our time with. But notice, all of a sudden, the options for the alternatives, I shouldn't use the word options because that's another one of the choices, but the alternatives for investments become much fewer because the Congress is saying, look, stocks are dangerous enough. Yeah, and so stocks, bonds, short-term investments, mutual funds can go into retirement accounts, which the IRS calls tax-qualified accounts. And we'll discuss IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, the Roth IRA, and the like. There are strict limits on contributions. Sometimes you'll ask people, what would you do with $100,000? I put in my Roth IRA. No, you won't. Because if the company has any kind of smarts, they're going to say, you can't do this. There's a limit every year you can put on. And if they let you do it, now you're going to get a friendly little letter. Eventually, it's going to take them about 18, 24 months to get around to you to say, you goofed, you got to take that money out. And by the way, we're penalizing you 6% for every year that you over contributed. There are strict limits on the investment types, as we saw here, and the money grows tax deferred. You don't get a 1099 form every year saying you have to pay taxes on your capital gains or dividends or interest. If it's in a Roth IRA, it grows tax-free. That's why Roth IRAs are so cool. You see, if it's in a traditional IRA, a typical 401k, you don't get taxed now. You get a tax break now. But when you retire, it's taxed as income. Well, this makes sense, as we'll reiterate once again, because why? Because in retirement, you're usually in a lower tax bracket, and if you aren't, congratulations. The Roth, though, you don't get a tax break now. Oh boy, but you get a big tax break in retirement because it is tax-free. Tax exempt, the IRS doesn't like the term tax-free. And there are some people who are saying, don't trust them. They're going to change the rules. They might, who knows. Slide 10. Let's concentrate on retirement accounts. There are two types: pre-tax, also called before tax, and post-tax, also called after tax. And they work, in like a mirror image. The pre-tax give you a tax break now. So 401ks, 403bs, what a silly name. Go to the IRS. Why do you call them 401ks? Well, that's the portion of the Internal Revenue Code that describes the 401k plan. Well, don't you have a better name for them? Oh yeah, we also call them salary reduction plans. You got to know the folks at the IRS have a real great sense of humor. That's what I want. I want my salary reduced. Well, yes, you do, because it's still going to you, but it's going into a special account that allows you to pay fewer taxes now, grow tax deferred, and you pay taxes in retirement. The traditional IRA, everyone can have one. SEP IRA, simple IRA, KEO. I love that word, KEO. Reminds me of the Wizard of Oz. Yo, he-yo, KEO. For self-employed individuals and their employees, they all work similarly. You get a tax break now. You get to deduct the contributions from your income tax. They don't even show up on your W-2. And the money grows tax deferred. And then you pay taxes in retirement. The post-tax contributions are relatively new now. They're about 25 years old, right? Also called after-tax. The Roth IRA for almost everyone. Well, really, it is for everyone, but you just have to play this silly game that we'll see later on. The Roth 401k, the Roth 403b. Notice we put them in quotes because that's not what the IRS calls them. They just call them a 401k with post-tax contributions. You don't get a tax break now, but you get a tax break later. They are tax-free in retirement. Yippee! Very, very cool. So slide number 11. Let's talk about the individual retirement arrangement. Is that the real? Yeah, that's actually the real name for it. Nobody calls it that except for the IRS. It's actually, everyone calls it the individual retirement account, right? It's the most popular personal retirement plan. It is now called the traditional IRA. And why is that? To differentiate it from the Roth IRA. So they wanted to have a different name for the IRA so that people they still get confused anyway, but it helps clear up some of the confusion. Anyone with earned income can contribute to a traditional IRA. Now, there's a little bit of confusion here because depending on how much money you make, you might be prohibited from contributing to a Roth IRA. But as we'll see, there's a way to get around that. That's called the back door. And if you make over a certain amount of money and you have a 401k or 403b at work, then your contributions may not be tax deductible in that year. You can still contribute, but then you have to keep track of the contributions that weren't tax deductible. Are you confused yet? Yes, it's very confusing. But you can still contribute. Doesn't matter how much money you make. You can make $1 million a year. You can put the limit into the traditional IRA. Contributions limits increase with years and inflation, and the investment grows tax deferred, which means you're not going to get a Form 1099 during tax time and have to pay any taxes on any capital gains or interest or dividends. You pay the taxes on the money when you withdraw it, when you're retired, and that's typically 59 and a half years of age. It actually could be earlier. You have to talk to the IRS about that. And mandatory withdrawals begin at age 72, which is up from 70 and a half, and it should be going to 75 over the next few years. I don't think they've actually passed it. It's in Congress, and supposedly it's going to get passed very, very soon. But eventually, the withdrawals are going to go up mandatory. But that means you have to start taking the money out. And the penalties for not doing it are very severe. However, I've helped people who didn't really understand the RMDs. And I said, just don't say anything and the IRS probably won't come a-calling. And so they just started the RMDs when they were like 73 or 4 or whatever. And the IRS never bothered them. So I think they realize that it's a pretty nasty thing to do to people in their older years. Hit them with a 50% penalty on the amount they were supposed to have taken out. I don't know who designed that. Whoever it was pretty cruel. And the IRAs have many cousins. The 401ks, 403bs, 457s, 401as, the SEP IRA, the Simple IRA, the Solo 401k, the SAR SEP, which has been phased out, and the KEO for self-employed small businesses, and then the Roth IRA. They all work very much like the traditional IRA, except for the Roth IRA, the Roth 401k, and the Roth 403b, where you get a tax break later, not a tax break now. So let's take a look at an example. You go to a company, you work for a company, and they say, hey, we got this 401k. Would you like to contribute? Oh, yeah. I'll put $100 every month in maybe you get a paycheck once a month or maybe twice a month, whatever. I'm going to put $100 in. Now, what's going to happen? Well, it depends on your marginal tax bracket. And let's just say your marginal tax bracket is $25 at the federal level, $8 at the California level. Well, that's just a hypothetical situation. Yours is going to be different. And you learn more about this in Business 121, Principles of Money Management. So what's going to happen is you're going to get a government subsidy of $33. Well, they're not going to send you a check for $33. What they're going to do is take $33 fewer dollars out of your paycheck for taxes. So you see your take-home pay only reduced by $67. Cool. You get $100 worth of investment for $67. Not bad. Plus, your company might match. They might give you $50, 50%, or 100%. It might give you $100. And that's your money. In 401ks, there's no vesting schedule. That's your money the day they give it to you. Cool. Who's going to give you a 50% or 100% return on your investment in one day? Your boss, your company. Why? Because they want you to go away when you retire. See, before, with the traditional pension plan, that's called defined benefit plan, they would set aside money. Sometimes you would have to contribute. We contribute. Teachers contribute to our traditional pension plan called California State Teachers Retirement System. And they would put that in a separate, investment somewhere. And then when you retired, you would get a certain amount of money per year, depending on your age and how long you worked and your salary for the rest of your life. Those are going away. They're disappearing or have disappeared in many industries. And so that's why they want you to do your own retirement. And it actually makes sense now because people don't normally work for the same company for 40 years. I have. But most people don't do that anymore. So it makes more sense for your retirement account to follow you around. And the reality is if you invest wisely, prudently, consistently with an eye toward long-term growth of income and capital gains, and don't panic when the markets fall, the stuff we have learned over the last several months together, you have the opportunity to have a very comfortable retirement. Much better than what the pension would have given you, because the pension tend to invest only in bonds. And so we know that bonds are reliable, but we also know that bonds don't give as much growth. But if you don't invest wisely, prudently, or just don't invest, which a lot of people don't do, or you do panic when the markets fall, yeah, it's more and more on your shoulders, and you can do a very good job or you can do not a very good job. So you put in $100, you might get an extra $100. You only see $67 come out of your paycheck. What's the catch? There's always a catch. Well, you pay income tax on any amounts withdrawn in retirement. But people in retirement are usually in a lower tax bracket. And if you aren't, congratulations. I wish all my students and my clients and myself have that terrible affliction of having too much money in their retirement account and paying higher taxes in retirement. What a horrible thing to have. And right, if you withdraw the funds before retirement, they're going to slap your wrist. You pay the income tax and pay a 10% penalty. Now, there are some exceptions. First-time home purchase, higher education for you or your kids, your children, medical disability, and then there were some situations during the pandemic when they opened it up for rating. You have to pay the taxes, but not the 10% penalty. This is money that you give it a little kiss and send it on its way, and it comes back to you later, hopefully 5-fold, 10-fold. Very, very cool. Okay, now what about the Roth IRA, the Roth 401k, the Roth 403b? You contribute $100 to a Roth IRA. What do you get from the feds in the state of California? Nothing, nada, zilch, bupkis, they don't give you anything. So your disposable income is reduced by $100. Doesn't sound like a very good deal. Why would you contribute to a Roth IRA? And here's the answer, because your friends and your family members, coworkers are going to know that you contribute to a Roth or the Roth 401k, whatever. And they're going to say, why do you contribute to a Roth IRA? And here's the answer, because a Roth IRA is so cool. Tax-free in retirement is a golden opportunity. Look, no other investment account option comes close. There are some situations that you could torture to where it would have made sense for you to get the deal, get the tax break beforehand, but they're just few and far between. I think, maybe not, I don't know. I always thought they were going to get rid of these things, but there's no talk of that because the feds, the states are going to be looking at this money 20, 30, 40 years from now that they can't touch, and there's no taxes on it. People say, well, don't trust them. They're going to change the rules. I don't think so. Old people have canes and they vote. So I don't know. Plus, this is another very cool thing about Roth IRAs. You can withdraw the contributions at any time without penalty. Well, doesn't that make sense? You already paid you already paid taxes on the contributions. Now, you want to leave it in there. I think the magic number is 5 years. As long as you've had a Roth IRA open for 5 years, there's no funny business or anything. But if you do take the earnings out, you're going to get hit with the taxes and the penalty. So again, this is long-term money, but there are some reasons why you'd want to raid your Roth IRA. How about a house, purchase of a house? In fact, that's one of my favorite things when people come to, Frank, I got to raid my Roth IRA. I'm coming up with the money for a down payment. Great, fabulous. You can't live inside your Roth IRA, a mutual fund inside your Roth IRA, but you can live in a house. And they're great for college expenses, huh? Well, when you filled out the FAFSA form, some people say FAFSA, but it's FAFSA form, did they ask you how much was in your Roth IRA or your parents' Roth IRA? No. Some of the private colleges do. So you can use the Roth IRA for a college account. And people will say, I want to open up a college account for my kids. I say, have you contributed to your Roth IRA? Have you maxed out your Roth IRA yet? They say, no. I say, do that first. Do that first, because the educational savings accounts, the 529 plans and the like, they're really not geared for the middle class or the lower middle class. They're more geared toward the upper middle class. My apologies. I had to stop the presentation because for some reason Camtasia stopped recording the audio, so I have to start again. My apologies. So as I said, the 529 plans and the like are more geared toward high income individuals. Okay, cool. And so if you're so inclined, contact me if you want to talk about 529 plans and the like. But I think the Roth is a better deal for the vast majority of us little people. But, boom, slide 17, a Roth IRA is not for everyone. Well, yes it is. You just have to learn how to navigate the paperwork. There are limitations on the Roth IRA contributions. Only single taxpayers with an adjusted gross income of $138,000 or less in 2023, and married couples with an adjusted gross income of $218,000 or less in 2023 can fully contribute to a Roth IRA. And if you don't qualify, congratulations, but you can contribute to a Roth IRA anyway. Well, if you find that you've made over the limit, or you're going to go over the limit, what you do is you go ahead and contribute to the Roth IRA. And then before you file your taxes, you recharacterize the contributions into a traditional IRA, which doesn't have the same limitations. And then you convert the traditional IRA back into a Roth. You do it on the same day. You fill out the paperwork and just submit it on the same day. You do it. You don't have to actually do it before you do your taxes, but it's a good idea to do it before your taxes. It's called the Roth backdoor. Who voted for these bozos? Who set this thing up? Oh yeah, we voted for them. Yeah. So if you are so inclined, and if you're fortunate enough to be making these amounts of money, and you want to contribute to a Roth IRA, contact me and I'll discuss it in more detail. It's all you got to do is type in backdoor Roth IRA into any search engine, and you'll see all kinds of discussions about how to do it. Is the tax code broken? Oh yeah. Can we agree on how to fix it? Oh no. Slide 18. Here are the contribution limits. Now notice they're going up. In 2022, they were $6,000, and they'll let you put in another $1,000 if you're 50 or older. For 2023, there's $6,500 and $7,500 for people 50 and older. So they go up with inflation. For the traditional and Roth IRA, contributions are limited to the lesser of your gross salary or the maximum yearly contribution. So what does that mean? In other words, you have to make at least $6,000 to put $6,000 in. And you can put in money for your spouse even if he or she doesn't work. So as long as you make, then you have to make at least $12,000 or $14,000 if you're 50 or over. If you make at least $6,000, you have until April 15th of 2023 to put the maximum into an IRA or Roth IRA for 2022, but it's already passed. But so for next year, right? So you have until April 15th of 2024 to put the money in for 2023. The contributions rise with inflation as well as we will see on the next slide for 401ks and 403bs, employer-sponsored plans. So same thing is true for 401ks, 403bs, but notice that the contribution limits are much higher. Yes, much higher. For the employer-sponsored plans, contributions, again, are limited to the gross salary, the lesser of the gross salary, or the maximum yearly contribution. In other words, if you make $23,500 in 2023, oops, that's a mistake. It should be 23,500. I got to fix that. You could put your entire income into a 401k. Yeah. And as noted above, these amounts are now indexed to inflation and go up over time. There's an actual loophole in the law that allows those in the public sector to contribute it's either $22,500 or $23,500. And I think maybe it's $22,500. So I have to go check that. I'll check it. Or $30,000 into both if you're 50 or over. Now think about this, folks. I've told this people, and some people just don't believe me, and then they come in as a couple and say, "Are you serious? Could you really do this?" I said, "Look, you're in your mid to late 20s, early 30s. One person works, the other person works. One has a 401k. You put the entire salary, or a big chunk of it, $22,500, into a 401k, and of course they might match some, up to 3%, 6%, dollar for dollar. You do that for 5 years." And put it in a long-term oriented, prudent investment with an eye towards long-term growth and income, mostly stocks, global growth and income, in my humble opinion. You do that for 5 years in your late 20s, early 30s, you'll never have to put another dime away. And people don't believe me, so I say, "Come on, I'll show you. We'll do the illustrations that we did throughout the semester." And oh my goodness, it's eye-popping, right? And of course, if both of you are working, cool. And by the way, so if you're worried about your spouse divorcing you and running away with the funds, no. Retirement accounts are considered, part of the marriage, and the divorce agreement usually separates the two. You have to, if one put everything into one of the spouse's 401ks, the judge would say, "Okay, you got to share that with the other spouse." So don't worry about that part. Okay, slide number 20. If your employer offers the option, you are able to place after-tax dollars into your Roth IRA or your Roth 403b accounts Again, that's not official. They don't call it a Roth 401k, Roth 403b, but they just call it a 401k with after-tax, post-tax money. The employer matches will continue to be pre-tax contributions, and you can't take out the contributions without taxes or penalty until retirement, like a Roth IRA. So it's a great option for those who do not need the tax break now. However, in my humble opinion, I prefer the Roth IRA. Now, if your employer offers matching contributions, it's a no-brainer, right? That's free money, 50%, 100% return your money in one day. Who's going to give you that? Just your boss. But now here's the catch. You have to save all those end-of-year statements, because what's going to happen is you're going to have some pre-tax money and some post-tax money, some before-tax and after-tax money. And you have to keep track of that, because when you go to take it out, you don't want the IRS saying, hey, it's all pre-tax. You have to pay taxes on all of it. No. So that's why I'm not a big fan of those, because it creates a bit of an accounting nightmare, and I'm not very good at accounting, so I prefer to keep it as simple as possible. What I did is I had my 403b at Southwestern and my Roth IRA, my wife's Roth IRA, and we just kept them separate just for simplicity. Plus, I was doing it long before they actually allowed for after tax, so I could have done it later in my contribution phase, my accumulation phase. I'm semi-retired now, just teaching 1 or 2 classes a semester. So that's my story. Slide number 21. Now this is very cool, folks. If you do your own taxes, do not forget this. If you have someone do them, make sure you tell them you put away money in a Roth IRA or a 401k. If it's in a 401k, they're going to see it on the W-2 form, but they might not know that you put money in a Roth, so you want to tell them. Retirement savers may be eligible for tax credits, up to 50% of contributions with a maximum of $2,000. So in other words, you put $50 a month away into a Roth IRA, that's $600 a year. The feds might give you $300 back for doing that. It's based on your adjusted gross income, and if you don't know what that is, take Business 121 Principles of Money Management, or volunteer for the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance, VITA, VUTA, whatever it's called, and you'll learn. And these are not insignificant numbers. $73,000 for a married filing jointly is pretty good. $54,750 for a head of household, and $36,500 for a single. And a tax credit is a dollar for dollar reduction of income taxes. If you use programs like TurboTax, TaxSlayer, Tax Act, they will ask you, did you contribute to a Roth IRA? And then they'll figure it out. But if you do your own taxes, don't forget this. And who does their own taxes anymore? Unless they have a program like TurboTax or Tax Act. Slide number 22. Okay, all right. It's time to discuss annuities. Remember, I'm a life insurance agent also, and so I can say true things about life insurance agents just as I can say true things about stockbrokers. An annuity is a life insurance product designed to provide a guaranteed income. And there's the siren song. Ooh, it's guaranteed by the life insurance company. And life insurance companies are kind of like banks. How do you know they're making money? Their doors are open. An annuity is also just a term for a series of payments. So I don't really like the fact that they use the same name for their products because it gets people confused. But hey, that's the way it is. Annuity options include income for a set number of years for as long as you live, the life term. That's the one that people really like, the idea, oh, I can't outlive my money. Or for as long as you and your spouse or other dependent lives if he or she outlives you. The amount you get is based on your age, which of the above options you pick, how much you've contributed, and how well your annuity investments, if any, have performed over time. And there are basically 2 types: fixed and variable. Fixed annuities are fixed. They give you a certain percentage, and that's it. And that's what you're going to get. They turn around and invest your money in bonds. Variable annuities are very similar. In fact, they almost always are mutual funds inside the variable annuity. Well, my goodness, Payana, why shouldn't I go with a variable annuity? Because all they're going to do is turn around, give your money to the mutual fund company. The mutual fund company is going to charge you their annual operating expenses, And then the variable annuity is going to charge 1 or 2 or 3 or 4% on top of that. Yeah, the fees for annuities are very high. So you're not really, in my humble opinion, getting the best bang for your buck, but there's that siren song of not being able to outlive your money. And on the website, there's a presentation that shows you one company, and I'm not trying to, diss them because it's actually a very good company. It's called TIAA, Teachers Insurance Annuity Association. It's been around for over 100 years. But with the fixed annuity, because they really can't show you the variable annuity without talking to a registered representative, a stockbroker. You have to have a Series 7 or a Series 6. You can get away with Series 6, as well as your life insurance license to sell variable annuities. But the fixed annuity, they can just show it to you online and no problem. And you see that, yeah, with that same $500,000 nest egg that we talked about back in chapter 11, you're going to do a whole lot worse with the annuity. But it's guaranteed, right? So what the company is saying, hey, don't gamble with your money. You might get mediocre returns. Instead, give us the money. We'll guarantee you get mediocre returns. Yeah. What are the advantages and disadvantages of tax-deferred annuities? They can be funded with retirement account dollars or after-tax dollars, which is, actually a kind of cool thing because with the Roth IRAs, the 401ks, the IRAs, you're only allowed a certain amount to contribute every year, whereas with a variable annuity or a fixed annuity, you can put as much money as you want in there. The interest earned is tax-deferred, and you pay taxes on any pre-tax annuity contributions and all tax-deferred earnings as you withdraw them in retirement. And as with other retirement plans, you're usually in a lowered income tax bracket when you retire. What's the downside? Oh my goodness, just very high fees. The annuity company usually takes between 1.5% to 3%. I've seen it up to 4% on top of the mutual fund fees if it's in a variable annuity. But if you don't have any ethics, you become a life insurance agent, these things pay great commissions, right? So think about it. If somebody wanted to come to me and buy one, I would do my best to dissuade them that it's not in their best interest. Here is something better. I believe it's going to do, but it doesn't have that siren song of a guaranteed life income. You pay dearly for that guarantee. And they have huge restrictive provisions. Remember the B shares that have a contingent deferred sales charge that, 4 years, 5, 6 years, it would go away. In annuities, it's usually 20 to 25 years. So to review our choices, I get the creeps talking about annuities. And to get back to Ken Fisher, the gravelly voiced guy, his big shtick is, I hate annuities, and you should too. And so in that respect, I agree with the man. Remember, there are regular accounts where you pay taxes every year. There are tax qualified accounts, and retirement accounts are just one type, but they work this pretty much the same way. Health savings accounts are actually pretty cool, folks, depending on your situation, because they can allow you to accumulate a substantial amount of money that is just used for health, but after a certain age, then you can use it for pretty much anything. The traditional IRA, the 401k, the 403b, the SEP IRA, etc., you get a tax break now, you pay taxes in retirement. The post-tax contributions, the Roth IRA, the Roth 401k, the Roth 403b, no tax break now, but tax-free in retirement. And then annuities, high fees, and some tax deferment. Cool? Excellent. And that was our discussion of brokerages, brokerage firms, account types, and annuities. We're ready for our very last presentation. Starting a business, the ultimate investment. Hey, it's not for everyone. See you in our last presentation.